Welcome to Joy for the Journey, the podcast where we explore the winding paths of purpose, faith, and joy. I'm your host, Joy, and I'm thrilled to embark on this transformative journey with you. Are you a woman seeking more than just existence and a soul yearning for fulfillment, purpose, and unwavering joy? Well, you're not alone. In this sacred space, we'll navigate the highs and lows, the doubts and triumphs, and the divine whispers guiding us toward our true calling. Through candid conversations, inspiring stories, and practical insights, Joy for the Journey is your compass, your confidant, and your catalyst for embracing the abundant life God intends for you. So if you're ready to reclaim your joy, renew your hope, and rediscover the woman God created you to be, join me on this adventure. Let's walk together step by step towards a life filled with purpose, passion, and unbridled joy. This is Joy for the Journey. Welcome aboard. Hey, welcome to Joy for the Journey. I'm Joy Jackson, and as I always say, I am so grateful for you participating, being a part of, and taking this purpose journey with me. I'm so excited about this topic because this is Saturday, and this Saturday, I'm going to talk about something that I don't do really well, and I hope by the end of this, you can understand why it's important. It's the idea of resting. I don't do it well. Did I say that already? Yeah, I don't do it well, but I know the importance of actually resting, because it's the pause and the recovery that allows me to rejuvenate my mind, body, and spirit. Again, I don't do it well. And it's so much bigger than inactivity or sleep. It's really about engaging in activities or removing myself from activities that will allow me to be refreshed, restored, enhance my well-being. And the word that I love the most is recalibrate. So you see why I say I don't do this? Because here it is Saturday morning and I'm recording, which is really a rest for me because I enjoy doing it. But I've got piles of laundry. I've got clothes that need to be folded from the laundry I did before. I probably should be downstairs making breakfast right now. I've got work things to do. And I'm always like, well, when I get to Saturday, I'm going to do all of these things. And most of us, I think, were raised with the idea that we should be cleaning or washing or doing the things we can't do during the week on Saturday. But I want to challenge you, every one of you listening to this, to actually find time to rest. There's this Bible study that I'm doing called Starved. And in here, she talks about the Sabbath. And the way that she described the Sabbath was so profound. I mean, really, really profound. And she talked about the Sabbath from a spiritual perspective. And in Christianity and in Judaism, it's not just about refraining from work. It's also about reconnecting with God. And so as I've been sitting with the need to have a Sabbath or the need to just rest, I realized that there are some reasons that I have a hard time resting, but I also realized that I don't really know how to rest. Because if I rest, I feel like I'm missing something, not doing something, unproductive. Remember, just on the last episode, I talked about the stories that I told myself. And when I am not doing anything, I'm always thinking I should be doing something. Or I'm always feeling like something's left undone, or I'm always feeling like I'm not using my time wisely. And what I've realized is in order for me to be more effective, in order for me to be better, in order for me to show up as a better Joy, I have got to find ways to rest. I have got to find ways to take a break. And so when we talk about rest and we talk about taking a break, there's so many different types of rest that I don't think we think about. So the first one I'm going to talk about is physical rest. It's simple. Physical rest is sleep and relaxation. That's where a lot of people are, the meditative ideas and really just going to bed. If you're like me, you can sit up for hours and hours and hours, and then you go to bed and you have a good night's sleep, but when you wake up, you're still tired. It's because even though our bodies may have been asleep, our minds may have still been going 100 miles a minute, or we've been inundated with information, and now our brain is trying to process that information through our sleep. So a physical rest is super important. Go into bed and then actually set in a bedtime. I've tried it. It works when I do it, but actually set in a bedtime. At a certain time, I'm going to get in the bed. Now, whether I go to sleep or not, because if we do things enough, we develop what's called a sleep routine. And if you ever have done sleep studies or you've ever talked to people who study sleep, they always talk about a sleep routine. In other words, preparing your body to know it's time to go to bed. So some people may do it by reading. Some people may do it by taking a long bath. Some people may do it by having a glass of wine. But if you develop a routine, even to the smallest thing of like brushing your teeth, whatever your routine is, if you do it enough, it conditions your body to know that it's time to rest. I haven't done it in a while. I used to do it. Here's the funny thing. I love to read. And so I made reading a part of my sleep routine. But the funny thing is that my body didn't realize that it was night and day sometimes. So then when I would read, I'd get very, very sleepy. And I could be at work, I could be anywhere. And if I read a lot, I would get tired. But that let me know that my body knew that that sleep routine had created a space for me to rest and to relax. There's also mental rest. And this is a break from mental activity. Let me tell you, I have refound Candy Crush. That is my mental break. I will sit on the couch and I'll play Candy Crush. And it allows me the opportunity just to escape. I also really like Sudoku. And so when I want a mental break, I will do that. I'll do a crossword puzzle. You know what else I've started doing with my girls? Coloring. So there are mental rests that you can have that can be small, that can be large, but find a mental activity that takes you away from the mental stress. So find something that you can do that is mindless, that is easy. For some people, it's cooking, but things that you enjoy. What I found about mental rest is that it has to be something you enjoy. Because if it's not something you enjoy, then it's another stress and it makes you frustrated. For example, I'm not the person that works out because I want to de-stress or I want to relax. The idea of working out is stressful for me for a couple of reasons. First reason is because I'm not in the shape I used to be. So when I go in the gym, I'm upset with myself for allowing myself to get to this point. The second reason is because I'm on a clock and I'm like, I got to go in at this time to this time because I've got this to do and this to do. So I've created more anxiety and more pressure. So for me, mental rest doesn't come with working out, but for some it does. So find out what that is. The other thing is emotional rest. This is about distancing myself from emotional stressors. This could be people. This could be work. This could be social media. This could be the news on TV. Whatever is causing your emotions to be out of whack and irregulated, then you need to find a way to take a break. I just told Steven, we were talking about Mother's Day, and I told him, I said, for Mother's Day, I don't mind spending Mother's Day with my mom and my mother-in-law. But after that, I want a day to myself. And I want it to be overnight because I just need to decompress. I just need to be joy again. So emotional rest is super important because if you are running on fumes and on empty, you have nothing to give. And now you're all over the place. Now you're crying. Now you're angry. Now you're frustrated. So identifying the need to have emotional rest where you're not going to allow triggers to come in or where you're not going to allow thoughts to come in, where you're really just going to sit and be still and be quiet and not allow things to get you up in arms. And you know the things that trigger your emotions. You know them. You know the people that trigger your emotions. So sometimes just taking a break is a beneficial thing. And then, of course, there's spiritual rest. This is hard because spiritual rest requires trust in God. And most of us, if we're honest, we struggle with that trust in God. So spiritual rest is really about finding peace in God again. Finding peace in your walk with Him, finding peace in your relationship with Him, finding peace in who He is. This is more about trusting the characteristics of God. And so when we look at rest, there are different times in our lives that are going to require different forms of rest or different types of rest. But it's important to know spiritually, emotionally, physically, psychologically, when you need to rest. And one of the things that I think is harder for us as we've gotten older is that rest is not as easy as it used to be. Think about it. When we were younger, no care in the world. We could lay around all day. We actually enjoyed it until our parents would fuss. We would sleep in. We would do all of those things because we just enjoyed being carefree and being easygoing, like Lionel Richie, easy like Sunday morning. We loved that. But as we've gotten older, the pressures and the stresses of life have caused us to always be moving and always be on the go. So rest for a lot of us has to be deliberate, meaning I have to actually force myself to rest. I've got to force myself to take the time. When I was single, I loved going to the movies by myself. That was my thing. I would actually take myself on a date. I would go to the movies and I would go to Outback Steakhouse, get the Outback style prime rib, a baked potato, and a Caesar salad. That was my gift to myself. And I would do it probably once every couple of weeks. So whenever I wanted to see a movie and I'd go to a matinee, I would just enjoy myself. And that was my way to rest. For that, however long that movie was, I was by myself. Nobody bothered me. Nobody called me. Nobody called my name. It was beautiful. And then I would take a book and I'd go sit at a bar and I'd have my Outback style prime rib and I would read. And then I could face the world. Y'all, I haven't done that in ages. And I can always convince myself the reasons I don't. I got to take care of the girls. I got to make sure Steven's good. I got to make sure Speaking of Joy is running. I got to do all of these things. And what it has caused me is real fatigue. I'm tired, y'all. because I'm so busy moving and going that I have forgotten to take time for myself. Call it self-care, call it whatever you want. I call it the need to understand how important rest is. Rest is necessary. It's a practice that we should integrate into our lives, and not just every now and then, not just on Mother's Day, not just on our birthday, not just on a girl's trip, but really finding ways for us to rest. Because when we rest, believe it or not, we're trusting God. I know that seems like a mismatch, but let me tell you, when I'm really resting, I'm trusting God. How am I trusting God? Because I'm trusting God and having faith that if I step away, whatever needs to be done will be handled and maintained. That just stuck and stung me because I don't live like that. I don't live like the world can revolve without me. And I should. Not that I wanted to, but I should. Here's something I want to tell anyone who's working long hours to make things happen at your job. Let me tell you, you need to rest. Here's what I learned when I was corporately working. They will find a way to make it happen. You are not the only person on that job that can do it. Even though you may have positioned yourself in that manner, if you get sick, if something happens to you, they will figure it out. So rest. And here's the thing, Joy. Same thing. These folks in this house will figure it out. So when I really want to rest, I can trust God like, God, if I just take this moment to myself, it's going to all work out. So when I'm understanding rest, I'm understanding God, and I'm understanding that I'm human, meaning I'm understanding that I'm not God. And so since I'm not God, I got to trust God to do the things around me that need to be done so that he can pour back into me so that I can be filled so that I can give again. Many of us have nothing left to give. And it's not because we're empty for pouring out. It's really because we haven't had a chance to recharge. Think about your cell phone. You got your cell phone in your hand. The battery's going to run down, right? The battery's going to run down. And when the battery runs down, you've got to charge it up in order for it to continue to work. And if you let it run down to the point that it cuts off, my children do that all the time, you got to go plug it up and then you got to give it a little time for the charge to connect. It's kind of like our lives, ladies. When we run down to where we're empty and we just shut off, if we don't plug back up and give ourselves some time, we're no longer useful. It's just that simple. So I'm challenging you and me right now to identify a way in which we can rest. So why don't we rest? I've already kind of talked about them, but I'm going to break them down a little more into why I think we don't rest. The first reason I think many of us don't rest is because we have these expectations and these roles that we've set for ourselves. Some of them are cultural, some of them are gender, some of them are from what we perceive and thought a certain role should be, like motherhood or being a wife or being an employee or whatever it is. So we've created these norms that have caused us to think that this is how we have to operate. When you think about caregivers, your first thought is a woman. When you think about a nurturer, your first thought is a woman. The girls have their first male teacher this year, and it's fourth grade. And I was like, oh my God, we got a fourth grade male teacher. How is that going to work? Because naturally we think that the caregiving is for the woman. The teaching is for the woman. Juggling roles is for the woman. So I can bring home the bacon frying up in a pan. Never forget, 'cause I'm a hardworking woman. We wear that like a badge of honor. But in reality, for some of us, it's pulling us in so many different directions that we just don't have the ability to rest. So we're professionals, we're mothers, we're partners, we work in the community, we work in our church, we lead the PTO, we do all of these things. We meet all of the expectations that are set on us, but we never set the expectation that we're going to be unavailable. And that ability to be unavailable is so that we can rest. And then if we choose to rest, we're going to explain to people why we're unavailable instead of just saying, I can't do it. So when we are not productive, when we are not doing something, we feel guilty. I'll be honest with you. I'm one of those people, I like to lay on the couch. When I'm resting, when I'm just relaxing, I like to lie on the couch. That's my thing to do. And watch TV. I love TV. And what I realized is Stephen is just the opposite. Stephen has to stay busy. Now, he has a job that's production driven. So if things are not happening around him, he feels unproductive. And if I'm being honest, I started to take on that mentality too, that if I'm just lying around, that I'm not doing anything and that I'm unproductive. And I'm watching him move around and move around me and just keep moving. And now it's making me anxious. So now I'm feeling bad because I'm like, I got to do something because he's taking out the trash, because he's doing this or that. But then there are moments that I'm looking for him and he's sitting outside on a chair under the tree talking on the phone or listening to music. Now, I don't consider him being lazy when he does that. So why do I allow the story that I tell myself when I do it to be something different? So I've got to be okay with not doing anything and not feeling bad about not doing anything and changing the way that I think about myself, that I'm not lazy. I'm just resting. I'm not unproductive. This is actually very productive because I'm spending time doing me. I'm spending time recharging. I'm spending time recalibrating. Another reason I think many of us struggle with resting is because we are perfectionists. And perfectionism is typically always going to be tied to our own worth issues. The more and more that I do these podcasts, the more and more you gotta kind of see there's some themes. And one of them is how we view and value ourselves. Because we view and value ourselves in certain ways, it causes us and motivates us to want to do more. So if I do more, then I'm more valuable to the people who have the ability to call me valuable. If I show up more, then people believe that I'm reliable. If I'm always present, then people believe that I am worthy. And what's funny, one of the things that I've been working on is, and some of y'all who may know me, I'm apologizing now, is not responding to text right away. Seems like a small thing, but smartwatches, cell phones, like buttons, and the little thing that puts up thumbs up have caused us to think that we have to always be immediately available. Because I don't want you to feel bad if you sent me something and I haven't responded. But what if I just need a break? What if I'm not by my phone? These are all things that we don't allow ourselves the space to have. Because the pressure to meet other people's standards causes us to not rest. And a lot of our desire to show up and to be present causes us to always want to be available. And then if I'm always available, then you have great things to say about me. And so whether I am self-imposing these thoughts or if I've created this environment around me where people expect me to show up and to be perfect in every scenario. And by perfect, I don't mean that you miss a mark, or I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about 100%. Whether I show up 100%, whether I answer 100%, whether I give 100%, whatever that idea of perfect is that you have in your head, because I think many of us know we're not perfect, but we're striving for it in a way that's going to show our relevance and show our worth. And so we got to be mindful that if we don't take a break, we will run ourselves ragged because no one can give 100% all the time. And we've begun to tie who we are and our value to our productivity. So if I'm there, I'm productive, I'm doing good work, and that makes me look good. Or if I'm there and they say that they're proud of me and they are appreciative, then I've done good work. So a lot of times we have these stories that we tell ourselves about who we are, about what we possess, about what we bring to the table. And because of that, we feel like we have to meet a standard. And here's the truth. Many of us will never meet the standard, of ourselves, let alone the standard of others. So when we need to rest, it's probably because we have run ourselves so ragged that we don't even feel like we deserve the opportunity to take a break. But you should. You should take a break. You should rest because you deserve it. And then here's one that I know we all know. Part of the reason why many of us, I included, do not take a break and do not rest because we don't have any boundaries. Isn't it amazing to you? And I don't know if it's in your house, but in my house, it's amazing to me that Stephen can do whatever he wants to do with no regard. And not in a negative way, but he's going to find time for Stephen. He's going to do the things that are important to Stephen. He is going to prioritize his own mental health. Like right now while I'm recording, he's at the gym. I'm sitting here recording and he's at the gym. So it's very easy for him to set his boundaries. And they're not even stated boundaries. Like he's not walking around saying, I'm setting a boundary. This is what I'm doing for my rest or for my emotional health. But he's doing it. And for me, I struggle with setting boundaries. Because I can set boundaries for certain things, but boundaries for my emotional, spiritual, mental health, I struggle with those. I struggle with setting a boundary to rest, meaning I'm not doing anything right now, and that's my choice. Y'all can run around me. Y'all can tear up this house. Y'all can flip. Y'all can go outside. Whatever it is y'all can do. But in this moment is for me. No, I'm not going to everything that you all go to because I want to rest. No, I don't want to go for a walk right now because I want to rest. And I find myself feeling obligated to my kids. So when they ask for something, I'll say yes because I want them to have an experience, or I want them to wake up one day and be like, man, I had the greatest mother in the world. I remember when. But I also realized that in doing that and being so readily available in that capacity all the time, I'm missing the opportunity to teach them the importance of A, the word no, and B, the need to rest. What I'm really showing them is how important it is to please others, or how missing out on something could really be impactful, or just how saying no can be negatively perceived. So I know that I'm not doing the best with that. And so now I'm choosing to set boundaries. For example, Stephen takes the girls to Katy Asian Town. It's in Houston, and it's basically the Asian community, and they have all kind of things, boba and restaurants. And so Stephen's been taking the girls. And at first I felt like, man, I need to go. That's great family time. But honey, they went without me. And I laid on that couch and I was like, oh my gosh, this was so much fun. So yesterday I went for the first time, but they've been to Katy Asian Town quite a few times without me. And I've been okay with that. I don't feel guilty anymore. I don't feel like I'm missing anything. I truly take that time to rest. In fact, last weekend, I had 4 full hours to myself. And I know you're like, Joy, get a grip. That ain't a lot. But 4 full hours to myself to do absolutely nothing was probably the most freeing, restful time I've had in a long time. My girls went to a play date. Stephen had gone out. I literally sat on my couch, opened a bottle of wine, and ordered Wingstop. And this is why I'm laughing, because it sounds so small, but I was so excited about that moment to rest. And this is why I'm saying rest doesn't have to be the absence of doing anything. Rest could also be doing the things that recharge you, doing the things that bring peace and joy back to you, doing the things that help you feel valuable and help you feel refreshed and help you feel whole again. It doesn't have to be, you got to lay down and go to sleep. Now, if that's the way you need to rest, then by all means. But whatever it is that you need to do to rest, I challenge you and encourage you to do it. And do it without explanation. Do it without guilt. Do it without feeling lazy. Do it without feeling unproductive. And maybe this isn't your challenge, but it's mine. So I'm really talking to myself. But for the woman who continues to be on the go, for the woman who continues to push herself, for the woman who continues to show up for everyone and everything, there comes a time that you need to rest. And of course, we know on the 7th day, God rested. And God didn't need to rest. He's God. But I don't believe he was resting because he was tired or because he had completed everything he needed to do, which he did. He rested to show us the importance of rest, the importance of taking a break, the importance of just being. Because we're like, okay, I got to get this done, this done, this done, this done. When I get all these things done, then I'll rest. What if I rest in the middle of that and then pick it back up and do the rest? Here's the beauty. It's a deliberate choice. So you get to decide how and when and even for how long you rest. But you need to rest. So I challenge you to find an activity, find a moment, and then define what you're going to do in that moment. That's the deliberate part. And then rest. And before I go, let me just challenge you to understand that resting doesn't have to last all day. Doesn't have to be this grand thing. It's just an intentional act for you to take a mental break, an emotional break, a spiritual break, whatever type of break you need. Is the opportunity for you to do that. If it's sitting for 5 minutes and doing breath work, that could be a break. If it's going for a walk with your dog, that could be a break. If it's going to the salon and getting your nails and feet done, that can be a break. But whatever your rest is, you need to do it. Your health depends on it. Your relationships depend on it. Your self-worth depends on it. And more importantly, you deserve it. So take you some rest, girl. It's well earned. I'll talk to you soon. Welcome to Joy for the Journey, the podcast where we explore the winding paths of purpose, faith, and joy. I'm your host, Joy, and I'm thrilled to embark on this transformative journey with you. Are you a woman seeking more than just existence and a soul yearning for fulfillment, purpose, and unwavering joy? Well, you're not alone. In this sacred space, we'll navigate the highs and lows, the doubts and triumphs, and the divine whispers guiding us toward our true calling. Through candid conversations, inspiring stories, and practical insights, Joy for the Journey is your compass, your confidant, and your catalyst for embracing the abundant life God intends for you. So if you're ready to reclaim your joy, renew your hope, and rediscover the woman God created you to be, join me on this adventure. Let's walk together step by step towards a life filled with purpose, passion, and unbridled joy. This is Joy for the Journey. Welcome aboard.